Hey everybody, how are we doing? I hope we're all well. Don here with just another blog. Just another audio blog, sorry. Another one that, as I say, with almost all of them, I'm sure at this point. I don't even know if it's going to end up being posted, or if it is, I don't know when. So basically I just wanted to kind of explore the idea that's in my head that, I like to think that I have some talent. I don't think I have any. You know me, I'm not exactly the confident type. But I hope I do. I've always hoped that I did, have some talent for writing, creativity, the things that I want to do. Eventually make money off of, do for a living. But it's weird, it's like I think about some things every now and again, and it's tough to sound, I guess not sound narcissistic about it. Not really. I don't know if I even do. I could be. I'm not really sure. I don't know exactly how I sound, because, even when I re-listen to the podcasts that we've done and the audio blogs and everything like that, I know how I sound. I just sound like me, but I don't know how that sounds from someone who just, either knows me a little bit or, crazy, or more importantly, the people that listen to me that have, they're hearing from me. Oop, that was a drop of a cap. Are hearing me for the first time. But it seems like a lot of the people that I've been listening to lately that tell their stories, but I've been listening to a lot of WTF, which is Mark Maron's podcast. He has some great interviews with a lot of celebrities and a lot of big names, but also a lot of just kind of the other guys too, which is nice because a lot of those other guys, like, those are the ones that I know of and that I'm a fan of. People like, Seth Rogen and Evan Goldberg, Joe Rogan. I've been listening to Joe Rogan's podcast too, and he kind of does the same thing. He's got a nice group of people that he talks to, like Bill Burr and Louis C.K., Kevin Smith. There's some other, there's Simon Pegg. There's a lot of names in there that I'm not thinking of right now off the top of my head. But the point is that a lot of them talk about how they, the main thing that drove them was that they wanted to entertain, number one, and number two, they felt that, not necessarily that they were some crazy, unique, amazing human being, but they felt that their perspective on things was different enough to where it would be very entertaining for somebody to experience. And that's kind of the way I feel about it. Like, as long as I can remember, especially when I watch, like, movies, that I'm, a little bit older, that I remember watching when I was either in, like, high school or junior high or earlier, and it's just like it reminds me of certain things, and it reminds me that I've kind of always had the same personality, which is kind of a good thing, I think, because it means that overall, even though, I've gone through some things, and I've moved across the country, and I've tried to do this and tried to do that, nothing has really changed me crazy, especially being out here. That's my mom's worst fear, is that, I come out here and, become some liberal, scary, like, yo, man, like, kind of hippie-ish type, whatever. But, no, nothing's really changed me. I'm kind of always the same, which I'm hoping is, like I said, I hope that's a good thing, because hopefully, eventually, making some real money off doing something like this, means that money won't change me either. Like, that's another variable in the process that, or in the equation that some people just kind of go crazy and, they change and they're not the same person, and money makes them worse, and that's always bad because they say that, money doesn't really change you, it just shows you who you already were, so I don't want to be Biff in Back to the Future 2, But it's interesting because, as far as me saying that I think not necessarily that I think differently than a lot of other people, but I kind of feel like I do, and I kind of like that idea that, my perception of things might be more amusing to most people. Like, maybe not everybody thinks like I do, and that could be considered entertaining, and that could be what makes me a good writer or a personality of some sort, that I can make work, because, it's just, trying to think of, all the things that I'm talking about as far as difference, and it's just simple stuff sometimes, like when I'm at work and I hear people having conversations. For me, it's when I, walk away for a little bit from other people. I work as a waiter. So I'll take an order, I'll ring it in on the computer, and then, I'll stand there for a second, check my other tables, or just kind of go through things in the computer real quick to make sure that all the orders are in. Things that aren't incredibly, you don't need much of your mind for. It's kind of repetitive. So my brain starts to wander, and I start to think about things. And then, almost 80% of the time, or 90% of the time, when I'm finished with that and I walk up to anybody else that I work with that's having a conversation, and I mean, not that it's dull or boring, but it's very, very different from what I was thinking about. For example, the other day, I walked up and they were talking about, this girl I work with, she was talking about checking on some dude on some website that shows when you joined, and it's got some kind of relationship status thing, and I'm just like, alright, whatever. It almost kind of sounds like the same drab, boring crap that is, it's amusing because people joke about it like it's satire, but it's really not satire on current people, because that's actually how they are. Like, this chick was worried about this guy, who she probably shouldn't have been with to begin with, and she's that suspicious of him, that she's on these websites with, checking his this or that or whatever. But it's just like, that's what they were talking about and thinking about, and it's just like me, I was on a whole nother level, not a whole nother level, like better, just a different thought pattern altogether. Like, I was thinking about the fact that somebody was joking about simulation theory, and the fact that the world is actually flat, and that, none of this is real, and I'm just sitting there blowing my mind, just at the idea that could even be a possibility, and kind of laughing about it to myself, but also trying to come up with some kind of a concept that would work, that could be similar to that, but not the Matrix, so it doesn't just seem like I'm copying the Matrix. And that was just one example of many, but also too, the weird thing, when I meet somebody for the first time, I kind of put who they'd be if they were in a movie or a show or something. I kind of map out their personality just based on meeting them for a little bit, and just kind of I usually equate them. Is that the right word? I think I equate, or I build this character up in my head that they already are. And it's usually similar to somebody or something that's either on TV or in a movie or whatever, and scenarios that would be similar, and would they be a hero or a villain if they were in that type of a thing, or I don't know. My brain just goes through so many ridiculous things that it's fun for me. It's how I keep myself entertained. But it's kind of also at the same time, when I think about stuff like that, and the fact that I've been that way since, like I said, I think grade school and in high school and all that too, with everywhere I've worked and people I've met and family members and yada yada. I apologize. Ooh, sorry, I had to quick yawn. Sorry about that. But yeah, all of that, it just makes me hope that, I'm different enough to be able to put a perception of our current reality, or any reality that I write up or draw up in my head, and entertain everybody. That's kind of the main goal, and I hope it works out. I hope that I'm able to, be somebody and be a name, and, just be something, some version of what I hope to be, just like, I guess, anybody else. But it's just interesting to think about the difference between some people's thought. I'm curious what other people think about when they walk around and they see things. I'm wondering if I'm really not that original and this is what everybody thinks about and everybody does, or if I actually am, somewhat original and I do have an interesting perspective. I wonder about stuff like that too when I walk up and hear, some dude talking about, going to get wasted after work, or, how wasted they got, the night before at work, or after work, sorry, and things like that. That's all. Just, I guess overall I'm just saying that just these are the things that pop into my head, and they just recently popped into my head because I watched a movie that is a little bit older, came out back when I was in high school, and I just remembered, I remember the movie, and I liked the movie a lot, and I just remember, like, making comparisons between some of the characters with some of the people that I was working with at the time. And that was when I was working with a lot of Spanish guys that barely spoke any English. I just remember thinking about, like, the idea that they had these, like, secret lives, where they were just, like, doing all this crazy stuff. And they just, like, come to work a couple of days a week, to either get beer money or to just, pretend to fit in, with us. And it's, like, not only, are they doing this to supplement, just, the idea of seeming normal, but the crazier idea that, like, they just pretended they didn't speak English, but they actually did. Like, they spoke, like, 7 languages. It was like a James Bond scenario, and they were just, like, this area had something going on. They had to, what I mean? I just always created this stuff in my head, so, I don't know. That's pretty much it. Yeah, I hope that, I hope I can make something out of this someday. And I hope that my perception and of society and the little goofy ideas that I have and the way that I see things, I hope it's different enough to entertain, and I hope to entertain. That's pretty much all I want, man. I just want to give some people the same feeling that I get from other things so that they can experience that same feeling, I guess. I don't know if that was a redundant statement, but alright then. I think that's it for now. So I will talk to you later.